Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to beautiful Tenerife. I'm out here with Audi for the international launch of the RSQ8, the largest and most expensive RS model to date. As you can see, the front end is really aggressive. Now, I thought the SQ8 had a nice aggressive front end, but this one's got some extra cooling because of the monster that's underneath the bonnet. In fact, let's open the bonnet now and have a look at the engine, because that is really its party piece. As usual with most modern engines, there's not really that much to look at. There's a plastic cover, but underneath that plastic cover, we've got the 4-litre V8 turbo engine that's basically lifted straight out of the new RS6. So we're talking 592 brake horsepower and 800 Newton meters of torque. Both figures very important for a car weighing 2.3 tons. This has a 0 to 60 time of 3.8 seconds. Now that's a claimed figure, so we're probably going to get more like 3.6 out of it, which is just ludicrous for something this large. And in fact, with the delimiter option, this car will do 189 miles an hour, which is absolute madness. Right, let's walk around to the side of the car and see what it looks like around there. It doesn't look too different to, say, the SQ8 or a Vorsprung Q8 model, but one thing that is different with this particular press car is it has 23-inch wheels, which are the biggest wheels on any production car in the world. I mean, they are just ridiculous. I know you can get aftermarket wheels for, you know, people putting in their Range Rovers and stuff, but these are straight out of the factory. So 23-inch wheels and the biggest brakes I've ever seen. And in fact, this one's got the optional carbon ceramics that I believe are standard on the Vorsprung model in the UK. They are just humongous, but even the standard brakes are 10-pot steel brakes, which are the biggest things I've ever seen. And in fact, the brakes on this are about the same size as the wheels on my BMW at home. The rest of the side, as I say, is pretty standard fare. They have added these little flared bits on the arches here, and that's to sort of compensate for the bigger wheels and the slightly wider track front and rear. We're only talking about 10mm front and 5mm rear, but so it does give it a bit more aggression, but it's quite subtle along the side of the car. Okay, on the back of the car, we've got the trademark oval RS exhausts. Yes, they're real exhausts. There's no fakeness. There's no Audi S6 about these exhausts. They are proper exhausts and they make a fantastic sound. They're really, really incredible. You can hear lots of that 4-litre V8. Again, styling wise is really spot on. There's quite a few fake vents, as we see on a lot of the German cars these days, which is a little bit disappointing, but at the end of the day, when you step back from the car and you have a look at the rear end, those little fake vents become styling cues that actually are quite, you know, fundamental to making the car look very sporty. Right, I think we should jump inside, have a quick look at the cabin, and then we'll take it out for a drive. It's typical Audi affair in here. It's a beautiful cabin. We've got a lovely cognac leather, which contrasts really well with the Daytona grey on the outside. Obviously, this is all the new modern, I call it the twin slab design, where this is all touchscreen. As most of you know, it's the one thing that I'm really not a fan of these days. I don't like too much touchscreen. I'm an old school guy. I like my analog buttons and dials. So yeah, you know, I've mixed opinions about the modern Audi interiors. I think they look amazing and people that get in them are just blown away, understandably, especially when you fire it up and it all just comes to life. Oh, as does that 4-litre V8. But yeah, some of the touchscreen stuff does annoy me a little bit. Everything else in here is just absolutely lovely. Even down to little details like an RSQ8 coming up on the dashboard. That's not just a regular Q8, that's an RSQ8, which I think is really cool. And that's what, you know, companies and manufacturers like Audi are really going to the detail now. They're listening to the customer and they're putting little details like that in. In fact, while I've got it running, let's just give it a couple of revs. So I'll ask my glamorous camera assistant to run around the back and I'll put it into dynamic and just give it a couple of revs. As with many Audi RS, it's got a limiter on there, so that was only revving up to about 4,000 RPM, but you get the idea. Doesn't that just sound awesome? Right, let's get in it and take it for a drive. Okay guys, you join me in the car now. I've been on the road for about an hour, so I'm beginning to understand and feel what this car's all about. I'm currently in comfort mode, which is comfortable. It's really relaxing, gearboxes over in drive, and we're on an epic piece of road, but the car is so capable and it seems to be supporting itself so well that even in comfort, I'm not left for wanting to go down and push it up into dynamic or use the RS mode button on the steering wheel, which is all new for this RSQ8. It's a real Jekyll and Hyde car, this, and I know that's a bit of a cliche saying, and I know I've used it in a few other videos before about cars, but this is really the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde. It's so comfortable and cruisy on the motorway and so relaxing and chilled when you want it to be. It's basically, think of it as, you know, without insulting it, it's basically almost a normal Q8 when you want it to be. It just does everything without any fuss, with a little bit of exhaust sound. You can hear the V8 rumbling, but it's not screaming and shouting at you. And then you switch it over into RS2, for instance, and it just wakes up and you can feel it getting on its toes. Well, I wouldn't say toes, getting on its big feet, because it's a big car, but it just defies every kind of physics you could ever imagine. And in fact, Audi bringing us to a place like this and a road like this, it would be mad if the car didn't handle as well as it does, because this sort of road just isn't, it shouldn't be the right sort of road for this sort of car. You know, you expect big open freeways, almost like you'd get in the States somewhere, but it can do that, but it can also do this sort of thing, which is just epic, absolutely epic. In terms of driving position, it's very good. I've talked about that in the Q8, so it's, you know, fundamentally the same sort of driving position. I'm greeted with a slightly sportier steering wheel. The seats are very comfortable, lovely in this cognac leather, and in fact these are ventilated and heated, which is just awesome. This being a German press car, it's going to be spec'd different to what we get in the UK, because every region has their own sort of spec sheets, as it were. But in the UK there's going to be 3 trim levels at time of launch. So we're going to get the base RSQ8, which is 104-ish thousand pounds on the road. Then we're going to get the black carbon edition, sits in the middle, and then we've got the range topper, which is going to be called the Vorsprung, which sort of, you know, is in line with everything else. So the Vorsprung is going to be loaded with everything. It comes standard with the 23-inch wheels. It comes standard with the carbon ceramic brakes and the big twin pan roof like we got here. So basically everything you can option is on the Vorsprung, bar a couple of options here and there. So that'll be the one to go for, money no object. In terms of standard equipment across the range, well, we've got the amazing 4-wheel steer, and that comes on the base model as well, which just helps make this car feel so much smaller and shorter, whether you're on the move and you're pushing on, or whether you're navigating into a tight parking space in town, because this is roughly 5 meters long, which it doesn't look that long on the outside, but 5 meters is, you know, it's a big car, and it's a very long car. So the 4-wheel steer really helps you in situations like parking. Okay guys, we're now up above the clouds. As you can see, I'm actually at 2,100 meters, which is about 7,000 feet. So you'd think the car would be struggling, but it's not. It's really not. I'm in dynamic mode. In fact, I'm in RS2 mode. So there's buttons on the steering wheel now that enable me to jump straight into sort of the most performance orientated modes. And I'm in RS2 mode now, that ramps everything off, puts the ESP and stuff into sports. I'm using the manual paddles on the wheel. The gearbox calibration is fantastic, but on top of everything, it's just the way this handles, and I'm still just nowhere near used to it. It just doesn't feel normal. It just doesn't feel normal. We know it's fast, we know about the Nurburgring lap record time. You know, that 7:42, that's actually 10 seconds quicker around the ring than my M2 competition in a 2.5 ton SUV. It's insanity. So trying to get your head around a car like this in a short period of time it just doesn't make sense. It's mind-boggling. There's a lot to take in. Beautiful scenery, beautiful roads, but wow, what a car, what a monster. Do you hear that? It's just amazing. And another thing that's impressive aside from the handling is the stopping power. Now this has got the optional carbon ceramic brakes that are the biggest things I've ever seen. I mean, they actually look bigger than most wheels, let alone the fact that they are brakes, and they hide behind massive 23-inch wheels on this car. 23-inch wheels, I mean, that's just that's just comical, you know. But they actually look perfect in this car because it is a big car. But as I've talked about in previous Q8 and actually SQ8 videos, the size of this car, it never looks too big. I had one behind me earlier on, I was looking at it in the wing mirror, and it actually doesn't look much bigger than say Q5 sort of size. And it's not until you actually get up close to it and you start walking around it, or you jump inside, that you realise it is a big car. And I think that's a massive plus point for me, because I'm not the biggest fan of massive SUVs, or, you know, when you go to the States and you see these huge cars. I like more compact SUVs, but this somehow manages to be, you know, the biggest car based on a Q7 platform, but yet its angles and its design just make it sort of shrink around itself, and I think that works really well with a sports SUV. Okay guys, hopefully you enjoyed that up above the clouds. You join me back down here now. We're getting sort of closer to sea level, and I'm getting to understand this car a bit more. I mean, look at this scenery. Oh wow, what a day, what an epic day. Days like today just make everything worth it. All the effort, the time and stuff that I put into my videos, and you get invited by Audi to a location like this with a car like this. I mean, it's brilliant. Yeah, I've got a big stupid grin on my face. I'm gonna have face ache later on, but it's all been worth it. You might just have to hang around a bit longer and enjoy these roads with me. I know you like pure driving stuff, so this is just brilliant. I hope the mic is picking up that lovely V8. It sounds brilliant, you know, with all the stringent regulations that we have to go through with muffling the cars. This thing sounds pretty damn good to me. Oh yes. It's just not right. This is 2.3 tons that we're hustling down here, and I'm not even getting any push or any sign of being near the limit. It's just dealing with it, staying nice and flat. We haven't talked about the ride. Quickly talk about that. In comfort, it's really, really comfortable, even with 23-inch wheels. Obviously the roads, we've got to always remember, the roads out here, they're not UK roads. This is a pretty good surface, so you're always going to get a slightly, you know, worse ride back home in the UK, but it just feels very fluid, and it feels very similar to a normal Q8 in comfort. And I've tried them back in the UK, and I think they, you know, they ride really well. So nothing to be worried about there. People out on their bikes, well, be a fantastic spot to be out on your motorbike, as long as you didn't have a RSQ8 hunting you down, I guess. Oh, what a car. Well guys, I hope you've really enjoyed this video. I've certainly had an amazing time, and hopefully done my best to share it with you. Yeah, I really look forward to getting in one of these back home in the UK. And after driving this as well, because fundamentally it's the same running gear, engine, etc. as the new RS6 that I haven't yet got my hands on, I can only imagine what that must be like, you know, sitting a bit lower, center of gravity is a bit lower. I can't imagine it would be much better than this, but I really look forward to getting my hands on that soon and bringing you guys the video. So give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Make sure to follow me on all my socials. It's just Joe Achilles across all of the social media. Yeah, I'll see you at the next one, which I can probably guarantee won't be as good and fun as this one, but let's see. Cheers guys, thanks for watching.